Welcome back to Vintage Lunchbox Reviews, a show in which I review my vintage lunchboxes. The name is right there in the title. Today we will be looking at a vintage lunchbox. This one is unlike some of the other ones that we've had. A lot of those lunchboxes came out the same year as a movie or a television show to really get that bandwagon, those sales. But some characters are timeless, like Ernie from Sesame Street. And so the lunchbox we are looking at today is this Sesame Street lunchbox. It features Bert and Ernie. This was released in 1979, but Sesame Street actually got its start on television in 1969. Of course, this was the pet project of Mr. Jim Henson, who brought us the Muppets, who brought us so much joy, great movies, great TV shows like The Muppet Show, shows that continue after his passing, including I just watched the Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem series, which was really good and still has the same spirit, that the original Muppets had. So it's been literally a lifetime of entertainment and enjoyment and education from the Muppets. And so this lunchbox is a testament to that. This came out, like I said, in 1979, but Sesame Street dates all the way back to 1969. So this came out about 10 years after the beginning of Sesame Street. But kids were obviously watching Sesame Street in 1979, as well as 1969, as well as 1989, and hopefully in 2029, kids will still be watching Sesame Street. I wasn't the biggest Sesame Street fan. I seemed like I enjoyed the Electric Company maybe a little bit more, like I graduated out of Sesame Street, but all those PBS programs, there were different levels, right? There was Sesame Street, then the Electric Company. I remember 321 Contact, just moving up those different things. But they were all great programs, and there's a lot of songs and little educational jingles and things like that I still remember from Sesame Street and the Electric Company. So let's take a look real quick at this lunchbox, and right here what you can see is the normal antics and the relationship being completely and perfectly represented by this artwork. We have Bert over here, who is wearing his galoshes here. And they've got their umbrellas. They're obviously out, and he has that stern, Bert disapproving look on his face. And then we have Ernie with Rubber Ducky, and he's walking and having a good time outside. So this would be, the normal relationship between Bert and Ernie. And if you don't know, Ernie was voiced by Jim Henson and played by Jim Henson, and Bert was Frank Oz, who were very good friends in real life. And they said this was basically only a slight exaggeration of their real life relationship. Frank Oz was a little bit, I think, more serious and kind of had that tone, and Jim Henson was a little bit more aloof. And so Bert and Ernie, classic characters. On the other side, this side's a little bit washed out, and I, of course, all of these I picked up used, and I wonder if we're sometimes, if you're a toy collector or you have box things or stuff, that when you display these things facing the sun, that sometimes they will get washed out. And it makes me think maybe this was sitting in a store window or on someone's shelf that was facing the sun, because this side, the colors are a little bit muted. This side is a little bit brighter. We have another scene here with the Sesame Street characters. We have Bert, we have Ernie, and then we have a little appearance from Big Bird here in the middle. And you can see it is fall, and Bert and Big Bird are raking some leaves there. And boy, there's Ernie just enjoying his time underneath the tree, not doing the work at all. And of course, Ernie is laughing and having a good time, and Bert is looks like he might be giving Ernie a lecture. And then Big Bird, it's pretty tough to get Big Bird to get crossways with you, but he may be asking Ernie to help out as well. So a couple of fun scenes here. Not anything from a specific episode that I'm aware of, but you could just, a lot of times we just saw Bert and Ernie in wherever it was that they stayed together, whether they were roommates or best friends or whatever. But we mostly saw them a lot, indoors and in that single room. So it was always fun in different books or media or whatever to see Bert and Ernie out having adventures together, not just hanging out inside all the time, but going out. And you can totally imagine that this is what their relationship would be like. Here on the front or on the top, as I always say, that kind of obscure artwork, we have Bert and Ernie, but we also have a little appearance of Grover. We have some other characters. We have Prarie Dawn there. So, there's some lunchboxes where you say it's a shame that things got covered up by the handle, because there's some fun pictures on there. Over on this side, we have yet another situation there where Bert has this disapproving look on his face, and we've got Ernie who has made a snowman, and the snowman looks suspiciously like Bert. It has a very similar Bert type nose on there, and again, this was pretty much their relationship all the time. Ernie doing funny things and laughing, and Bert disapproving of them. Here we have another character makes an appearance. We've got the Cookie Monster on there. They're obviously having some sort of picnic and outing there, and you've got Bert. And I always like how Ernie is just like always super relaxed. Bert is sitting there cross-legged, as you might do at a picnic, and Cookie Monster is sitting there, and of course, what he is ready for. C is for Cookie. And then you've got Ernie down there just relaxing, maybe looking up at the clouds or whatever. And if you look over on the edge, you'll see another character peeking out over in the corner here. And we've got the Count. So no matter who your favorite character was, these were all the big hitters at the time, right? Bert, Ernie, Big Bird, Cookie Monster, the Count. Lots of good characters on this one. Finally, we have that's the snowman scene again. We have this side, and who is left? We've got Bert, Ernie there again. They're playing on the beach, and then we've got Prarie Dawn back there hiding on the beach, and then over to the side we have Oscar the Grouch. So a lot of different Muppets, Sesame Street characters all made appearances on this one. Again, this is the side I think that was probably displayed the most with Bert and Ernie, but I have this side on my shelf sitting out just because it's a little bit more colorful, and you get that third character, you get Big Bird. There are multiple, as you might imagine, multiple Sesame Street lunchboxes. So a lot of times this one is referred to as Sesame Street Green because you've got the green trim on this one. Some of the other ones have different colors. I always call this one the Bert and Ernie and Big Bird one, although it has lots of characters. But, whenever I think of it, I think of this side right here. Inside, not much to see on this one, and other than we've got the normal thermos diagram, but we've got lots of little surface rust spots on this one. So I don't know if this is a correlation, but I would think this would be a lunchbox that would be owned and used by a younger child, and so maybe it was left out in the rain somewhere or in some storage setting that wasn't ideal. Now, when I bought this one, it did come with a thermos, but I don't believe it is the thermos that actually came with this lunchbox. And again, this is a problem when lunchboxes were sometimes re-released, or you have multiple lunchboxes with the same characters. We're going to see this a lot actually with the Muppets lunchboxes that I picked up over time. So this has a yellow lid, but on the book, and I don't know if I showed this, but this is one of the things that I reference sometimes when I'm looking up information or whatever. This is a book that I have on lunchboxes that I picked up several years ago. It has prices, but prices change so much. But what it does have is, pictures of the lunch boxes and the thermoses that they came with, and it has the company and the date they were released, and not much more information. It's more of almost like a checklist than anything that gives a lot of background information. But it does show a different thermos for this lunchbox that obviously has a green cap that would have gone with this green lunchbox. So this is a yellow one, and there is a Sesame Street yellow trim lunchbox, so that probably is the one that this came with, and I do have that one up on the shelf as well. Again, what we've got here is all of our characters. We've got Bert, we had Ernie on there, we've got Grover waving on there, we've got Cookie Monster obviously eating cookies. He's going to be doing his thing. There's Oscar the Grouch. We've got Big Bird there, and there's a B for Big Bird. I may have to change my lighting in here a little bit because I think it washes some of the colors out, even though the colors on this are a little washed out as well. So let's go ahead and do our thermos surprise test. Definitely not one that I've opened. This would be a normal, what I would call a normal style thermos with this plastic lid. Everything after the early to mid 70s is going to look just like this. We're not going to take a look. Nothing but the smell of plastic. We dodged another bullet. Nice and clean inside. Somebody washed this one before they put it up for sale. So, again, as I mentioned on my display shelves, what I pretty much have is lunchbox thermos, all the way down. I have a lot of lunchboxes that I don't have the thermoses for, and I have a few orphan thermoses that I picked up over the years that I don't have the lunchbox to. So, obviously, you can imagine that these two would be displayed side by side. You've got your Sesame Street lunchbox, you've got a Sesame Street thermos, so all good stuff. Anyway, this is the Sesame Street lunchbox. I enjoy it. It's not one that I had as a kid. Like I said, I think it is probably for a slightly younger crowd, but I always love this style of artwork, especially with Muppets and Sesame Street characters, seeing them out in the real world doing things. So that makes it a fun one to own. Not terribly expensive, probably a mid-range metal lunchbox. I would say 50-ish is probably a normal price for this, give or take a little bit, depending on condition. So anyway, tune in tomorrow and we'll see what we have on the lunch menu.